Hello, and welcome back to the Kingdom of SnaX. It's me, the King, Lumber Snack. And today, we're discussing Cascadia, because this is also, party of snacks type stuff, or the snack party. The political party for any certified snacks. Like myself. But ultimately, that'll reflect what I wish for Cascadia, my beautiful nation and land that I live in and love. Because the Pacific Northwest of the North American continent is the beautiful place, listed in 1 Enoch. You'll notice that, like in biblical teachings, that it always mentions something coming from the face of the West. Well, you actually can't get more west pretty much than the Pacific Northwest of North America. And why I say this is because the East is always recognized as Asia. And so for us, the only countries west of us is Asia. But we already recognize that as the Far East, and even still, you go far enough east, eventually you land back to west. That's the beauty of spheres. It's a beautiful cardinality of it all. But Cascadia, the land where I live, the land where I love, in Washington State, the decent area named Washington. Because remember, that donk boy douchebag lives in the other Washington. So Russia, China, please recognize that. But Cascadia, for all intents and purposes, is predominantly Oregon, Washington, Idaho, kind of like on that Rocky Mountain area. And honestly, I just want this area to be separated, seceded from the East. Because honestly, they're holding us back. We need to recognize that they're holding us back in manners of science, economy. They're trying to traffic our children. The I-5 corridor is one of the worst sex trafficking areas in the entire world. And if Cascadia goes independent, let's fix that. Let's take these psychos out. Let's put them on display and make examples of these wolves that would harm children. I think that'd be cool. But Washington, Oregon, Idaho, British Columbia, and then Alaska and the Yukon territories. That's more or less where I've drawn the line for Cascadia, and where I've kind of identified what we should do, how we should win, how we should lead, how we should operate. And honestly, America, the United States, needs to split big time. I will be the loudest voice calling for American secession after this crap. And you know what? We need to do American secession for states' rights. We need to recognize that each state, each individual area, biological environment that has specific strengths that it leads to the entirety of everything. Certain areas are more plains driven. Us, we're more woods driven. The lumber industry is a very huge industry out here, which is why, I'm the lumber king, literally born in woodland. Something I can prove on a birth certificate is that the lumber snack came from woodland. How hilarious is that? It's so funny to me. But you must understand that Kingdom of SnaX, right now, tentatively speaking, this is my priority. Cascadia will always be my priority, because ultimately I want Cascadia to be viewed as the paradigm for freedom and liberty, to set the stage and the standard for how humans ought to operate. And the easiest way to do that is by reinstating actual monotheism, returning us all actually to the one, who is Allah. And again, if you're an enemy of Allah, you're an enemy of God, bro. Like, wake up and understand different languages exist. Jesus, the human guy that you guys all bow down and worship to, literally used the term Allah. Allah, Allahu, that's Aramaic. But Cascadia, listen, we're getting screwed by these tariffs, man. We're getting screwed by this economic travesty that is the failed businessman that is Donald Trump in office, who was put into office to fulfill Zionist obligations for their own power structures. And ultimately, it's why, child sex trafficking rings are still rampant, which is why the American people, who are all little guys, we need to recognize that and rise up and tear these evil, wicked people limb from limb. We got to do something about it, right? Like, did George Washington and the boys bend over and lube up for Great Britain? No. They armed themselves. The monstrosity that is freaking forest-driven rednecks freaking armed themselves, researched guerrilla warfare, and took their land by force. Dude, we need more people in America understanding guerrilla warfare, understanding Sun Tzu's art of war. We need to freaking step up against these posers, man. Arm yourselves, either with knowledge or with weapons. Second Amendment is there to protect your First Amendment, and I am wielding my First Amendment. And I will always back up my claims with the Bible. Because that's all that seems to matter to these blasphemous bogarts, quite frankly, is that Israel somehow has biblical reasons to that land, when I've also read the Bible that says that Israel will be wiped out by God, always and forever. It's a cursed name at this point. They should recognize that. Like, people should recognize that the sons of Israel and the sons of Esau have categorically bred with each other for centuries at this point. Y'all are one and the frickin' same, and that's why Genesis 15 speaks of the sons of Abraham, not the sons of Israel. Like, do people not realize that? No, they don't, because 95% of all Christians haven't read their Bible. They just live in their ignorance, hoping that their one little guy comes back to save them. But realistically, when you recognize that Christ is here, Christ is right here. That's why the white stag, the sterling buck of sorts, had a cross between his horns. Anyway, lumber snack out.